My name is Erica Rose Jeffrey, and I'm so pleased to welcome everybody today to the Dance for Parkinson's Australia Creating Connections, Sharing Our Stories mini festival. This is a brand new undertaking for us, and so there's lots of new learnings, new connections, and as we think about this journey over the next 2 days, an ongoing improvisation as we too are trying something new. Before I get into some of the housekeeping, hello, my name is Erica Rose Jeffrey, and I'm so pleased to be able to welcome you today to the Dance for Parkinson's Australia Creating Connections, Sharing Our Stories mini festival. We have many exciting presentations, workshops ahead over the next 2 days. This is a new endeavor for us, and so there's already been many new learnings and relationships that we've built in this process and are looking forward to many more. Before I go through any further housekeeping or introductions, I would like to invite my colleague and inspiration, a leader in arts, health, and well-being, Marianne Wobky, to provide to start with an acknowledgement. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you, Erica Rose, and good morning and warmest welcome to all in attendance today. Let's begin. So I invite you to take your attention from the external world and our 5 senses, and for a moment turn inwards. I invite you to gently close your eyes if that feels safe and comfortable, and just noticing your breath. My name is Marianne Wobky. I'm a midwife, an artist. I was born in a home for unmarried mothers in Brisbane on Turrbal land in 1960. I was removed and taken into the care of the family services at birth. My Indigenous birth mother and my maternal grandmother are rainforest and ocean people with connection to Girramay Mob in North Queensland. Rainforests and oceans are locations where I'm guaranteed to feel nourished to my soul. My birth father was Italian. My adopted parents' lineage is English and Scottish. I wish to acknowledge I represent all my culturally diverse ancestors today, and I remain committed to reconciling the various cultures and beliefs, the inherited stories, conscious and unconscious, I hold inside. I welcome and acknowledge your unique and diverse ancestral lineages. Today, I've been afforded the honour of offering an acknowledgement to our First Nations people prior to embarking on your Dance for Parkinson's online festival adventure. My thanks to the exceptional Dr. Erica Rose Jeffries, presiding director of Dance for Parkinson's, for inviting me. She is one of my favourite people on the planet, and time with her always leaves me feeling overwhelmed with joy, awe, and bliss. Now, an acknowledgement is fundamentally a ritual of gratitude, essential to create a shift in the collective unconscious. A ritual, a protocol followed prior to all significant meetings, ceremonies, or events. The more important the event, the greater the need for acknowledgement. As well as expressing gratitude to our traditional landowners, our First Nations people, an acknowledgement provides an opportunity for each of us to spiritually arrive, attend to and align our body, mind, and spirit, to become fully present. In keeping with this initiative, I invite you now to take time to breathe. First, fully out. Take a moment to pause, and then allow a long, slow breath to fill your body. Become aware of your breath. Notice the rhythm and relax your body as much as you can for today. Align your posture if you feel to, with an image of your own internal ancestral dancer who is carrying your songline. Establish your feet firmly on the ground and imagine the land beneath supporting you from wherever you are attending today. Da Diddy, it is time to listen deeply. I wish to pay our respects to the traditional custodians on the land on which I am offering this acknowledgement of country this morning. The Turrbal and Yagara people of the Brisbane region. I wish to acknowledge the lands and virtual spaces where each of you are situated today. Welcome. I acknowledge the ongoing challenges and affirm the sovereignty of our First Nations people as the longest living culture on this planet. I recognize this land was never ceded. I acknowledge and pay respects to all elders, past, present, and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people present. Greetings and welcome. We recognize your connection to the land, sea, and community. We honor our longest living culture, the dreaming, the rituals and ceremonies, for they are the foundation for the innovative, creative events like what we're attending today, creating connections and sharing our stories. The lineage of these lands and spaces where we reside has been for thousands of years, places of connecting, yarning, caring, sharing, teaching, learning, research, exchanging, grieving, and celebration. The ecology of well-being was generated and sustained through Kenyini, interconnectedness to all things. We valued our imagination and creativity, employing arts, music, dance, and song. Following a lifetime earning eldership through dedication and sacrifice to culture and community, it is an elder's responsibility to pass on their inherited knowledges through dance, song, art, sharing, yarning, telling important stories with mob, and in particular, our treasured children and youth. This legacy continues today as we celebrate the skills and talents of the team of presenters here to generously share the gifts of knowledge and experiences with you, to share their joy and passion for dance. Our dancers were critical for the growth, sustenance, and evolution of our culture. We danced ecstatically in the womb with our mother, and later through the birth canal and out into the world, where in bliss, our maternal dance resumed, reignited, reconnected, heart to heart at the mother's breast. Cultural respect and commitment to dance was an integral thread throughout the life's journey until death opened the door and we were dancing again with our ancestors. I acknowledge and pay homage to each of you present, to your Indigenous spirit in the various virtual and community spaces you inhabit. I acknowledge and celebrate your diversity, uniqueness, collective wisdom, awareness, compassion, and most of all, your unified passion for dance. You are all very welcome, safe, and valued in this space. May you be open today to receiving the epic, profound, holistic, healing, and transformative experiences that have been created to guide you on your dance journey, both today and tomorrow. I leave you now in the care of an exceptional team of presenters. And of course, the awesomely talented Dr. Erica Rose Jeffries, into whose care I now hand you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. What a moving and meaningful acknowledgement. And thank you so, so much from my heart, from my spirit, and from my whole being. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to acknowledge Marianne and the leadership that she brings to my work in arts, health, and well-being, and also that she is the 2021 recipient of the Australian Council Ross Bauer Award for Community Arts and Cultural Development, and a true acknowledgement of your work across communities. Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you.
I'm going to do a few acknowledgements of my own. First, I too would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands from which I'm joining, the Yagara and Turrbal lands where I live and work near Brisbane, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. I would like to thank the Dance for Parkinson's Australia team, my co-directors, Philip Piggin and Catherine Goss, who will be joining throughout the different sessions today and tomorrow, as well as the wonderful team of teaching artists, volunteers, participants who have all made this event possible. This is a new undertaking for us. And so as we go through the next few days, we will all be learning together. So we appreciate your patience and willingness to go on that journey with us, and also to think of it as a kind of extended improvisation, as we all have been learning to do over the past year and a half. This event is made possible through a number of important relationships. So we're able to present this in collaboration with Parkinson's Queensland, as well as Dance for PD in the United States, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary. We also have support from CODA Queensland, Arts Queensland through the Queensland government, and the Community Benefit Gambling Fund. We're also delivering this series in partnership with the Arts Health Network Queensland. So a number of different partners coming together. And for me, that's really the essence of this kind of event. The opportunity to share experiences, to continue learning in reflective practice, to build connections with our local community, as well as the regional, national, and global network. And we will be exploring these ideas of quality of life approaches to creative aging, and also living with Parkinson's as a specific group that we work with. But how are these ideas also shared with the broader creative aging community research initiatives that are being undertaken? So lots of exciting things in store for the next few days. I'm going to take a moment to actually show you a few things about how this wonderful Arts Front platform works. We're so appreciative of the support of Arts Front to be able to bring this mini festival to you, and just wanted to share a few things so that you know how to make best use of your time. So let's go. I'm going to share my screen right now so that you can see the Arts Front platform, the live stream. There we go. So if you look, this is the live stream console. So when we come to this page, this is where you get to hang out, and everything is all together in this space. So if we look right here, we're right now in the chat, and I can see all these beautiful comments and acknowledgements of Marianne's really moving acknowledgement and opening today that has really set us up for a wonderful 2 days. If I click on this button here, which says presenters, it then brings up the presenters. And if I click on one, such as David Leventhal from Dance for PD, it brings up the information about David. right there. You can just click this button to close it. Next to that is the program quick view. So if you just want to get a sense of what's coming up next, you can click on the program quick view. We've put a few reminders about timing in the top. We are running this event from Brisbane, from Queensland, although it is virtual. So we have based the times on Queensland times. Then when you come over to the next link, it's the resources. So this has some different links from the presenters, a few films. You can take your time and browse through that or come back to it at a later date. And then if you go to the event support, which is this next link, it just has a few suggestions. If you are having a little bit of trouble, you need some help, you can get in touch with the folks at ArtsFront. If you're interested in questions about the program or participating in future Dance for Parkinson's activities, you can contact us there as well. So that's just a few things about the platform and how we're going to engage in it. And I'm just going to today right now go through a few of the different events that are happening today, just to highlight what's coming up. So if we look at the program quick view today, so next up will be an introduction and message from Miguel Diaz, who's the CEO of Parkinson's Queensland, and we're thrilled that he'll be able to join us today. And after that, there'll be a bit of a morning music salon with Dr. Rob Manley. Now, Rob is a musician based here in Queensland who has played for our Dance for Parkinson's classes at Queensland Ballet and in other community contexts for many years. And we have such a wonderful relationship in terms of how the participants interact with the live music and how Rob takes the participant reaction and participation and integrates it into the music. So really wonderful learning experience for all of us. After that, we're going to be offering a community class. This community class is going to happen in Zoom. So when you see this, you click here to join the Zoom call. So you'll be able to see everybody who's in the class, and that will not be live streamed. And that will be taught by my wonderful colleagues, Jessica Keneally from New South Wales, Paris Wages from Victoria, and myself. And it'll be a chance to get a little snippet of 3 different teaching styles all in one. After that, during our lunch hour here, we will be having a joint presentation with the Arts Health Network Queensland. So the Arts Health Network Queensland is a community group made up of health professionals, researchers, practitioners, folks who are engaged in the work around arts, health, and well-being. So this event is a co-hosted event. The Arts Health Network regularly hosts a lunch series featuring the work that's happening throughout Queensland. And today we have Jessica Olding, who is the Arts and Health Program Coordinator from St. Vincent's Private Hospital. So she's going to talk about arts, health, and well-being in clinical context in the hospital setting. After that, we are going to be joined by Linda McIntyre, who's the director of the New Voice Choir. And she's going to talk about her experience with the choir, which is a wonderful community initiative, but also her experience as a composer who is living with Parkinson's and sharing that personal experience. We're not done yet. There's still more in this day. So you might notice there's not a lunch break in here. So we invite you to join for which sessions you're able to. Take a break at any time. And the great news is you're going to be able to come back and watch some of the sessions at a later date. So if we look at the next session here, is the creative aging and performance. So this we will be featuring 4 different teaching artists and dancers who are sharing about experiences in different contexts. So Claire Appelt is the creative programs advisor from Lutheran Services. And Katrina Rank will be sharing information about a beautiful film that was created. Paige Gordon, who's in WA, will be sharing about a new community dance project, Life Wingspan, which will be happening just shortly coming up. And Philip Piggin will be sharing about some of the performances that the group Offbeat Dance has done in Canberra. So 4 different contexts. And then making our way through the day, we next have research and clinical perspectives. And so this will include Professor Graham Kerr, who's been a wonderful supporter of the Dance for Parkinson's program since our first research study in 2013, which was conducted with the Queensland Ballet, Queensland University of Technology, and Queensland University. And this, he has been involved with the program since that first point and has been a great advocate for the work that we've been doing and creative activities in this well-being space. And we'll have Dr. Legrand join us as well, who's a neurologist and a clinical fellow at Princess Alexandria Hospital. And he's going to talk a little bit about what's happening in research at this point. What are some of the things that are happening in clinical research? And then he's also going to comment from a clinical perspective on the different creative activities. We have Camila Pinto, who is a PhD student based in Brazil, who is now in London on a fellowship. And she's going to be sharing some research that she conducted with providing Dance for Parkinson's-based class online. And Dr. Nadisha Kalyani, who is based in Sri Lanka, who's going to share information about her Dance for Parkinson's research as well. And then to finish off the day, we have Popping for Parkinson's with Simone, who's joining us from the UK, which is, I'm sure, is going to be lots and lots of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And then for teaching artists who'd like to stay, we'll have a little bit of a network sip and chat at the end of the day. So this will be an opportunity just to talk about the day's events, ask questions about tomorrow, share things that you're working on in your own community, just have a bit of a chat. So that's today's schedule. And I'm going to just pause there. We have lots in store for you. So join us for a session or the whole day. We're looking forward to having you in these multiple different contexts. And as we go through the different events, please respond through the chat. We have lots of opportunities for you to ask questions, make sure that we can engage you in the conversation that way and as part of our community. And I just want to say a little bit before we go to our next session with Miguel, who is joining us from Parkinson's Queensland. I just want to say a little bit about this idea of creative well-being and this sense of how when we think about the Dance for Parkinson's program, we think of this as a community-based initiative providing dance classes for people living with Parkinson's, their family members, and carers. And what I really am consistently inspired by in this program is how this idea of what dancers, professionally trained dancers and dance teachers, the knowledge that they have and the expertise they have in movement, in how do we take a visual image and transfer it into a movement? How do we create movement sentences and phrases? This idea of how that knowledge can be shared with other communities, with other individuals. How can we continue to grow in our creative practice across different spheres? And while I started teaching in the Dance for Parkinson's program some years ago when I was back in California, and then coming here to Australia and starting the Dance for Parkinson's program here in 2013 with lots of support from Dance for PD in the US and community members and organizations across the country, one of the things that I find is that I'm continually renewed in my own artistic practice. I'm inspired by all of the people that I get to work with, and that I continue to learn. And this is learning about how we as humans connect, how we communicate through verbal, through embodied ways, through the idea of movement transmitting a message, and how we can build healthier communities together. And as some people have heard me say, I am an arts activist. So I encourage us all to have a little bit more arts in our life. From this point, I am going to perhaps take a moment to just close this part of the introduction and see if we might be ready to move into the next section with Miguel. So if we're ready to go into the next section, it's a little bit early, but I thought we might go ahead and take the opportunity to introduce Miguel Diaz, who is the CEO of Parkinson's Queensland. And I am so pleased that you are able to join us today, Miguel, and to share some of both the wonderful work that Parkinson's Queensland is doing, but as I have been fortunate enough to learn, you also have a personal connection to the arts. So thank you, Miguel.
Thank you, Erica Rose. Good morning to you and good morning to everyone who is part of this wonderful festival. Can I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands on which we are all meeting, wherever we are across the country. It's a fantastic opportunity, and I'm really, really pleased to be here. I'm going to share my screen because I thought I would start. Erica is well aware of my background, but I thought for a little bit of fun, I might just share with you a little bit about me and my past, because prior to entering a corporate career and now a for-purpose career, I had a fantastic and wonderful career in the performing arts. So I'm just, hopefully you'll see my screen. There we go. So that's me. No more introductions needed. But prior to me taking over as CEO of Parkinson's Queensland, I actually had a pretty extensive career in the performing arts. I graduated from the New South Wales Conservatorium of Music, specifically the opera school. And then I was really fortunate enough to be in the inaugural Sydney season of Phantom of the Opera, and spent, as you can see there, a number of years with Opera Australia, singing on a whole range of different productions with some amazing individuals. Don't hold this against me, but I was on Home and Away twice, and I've done a lot of television commercials and lots of amateur productions. So when Erica Rose, when I first took on the role at Parkinson's Queensland, and Erica Rose and I connected, I instantly knew the power of dance, music, singing, all of the performing arts, because I'd lived it personally. I know how powerful it can be. I know how life-changing it can be. And I wanted to make sure that we as an organisation were supporting programs that were providing people with that opportunity. As many of you will know, those of you who are living with Parkinson's, or perhaps you're supporting someone with Parkinson's, there is currently no cure. So the best thing that we can do is to look at ways of improving people's well-being, their quality of life, and ultimately getting everyone some better outcomes. So it is a very, very powerful way to do that through performing arts. My own personal experience of dancing and singing, and I've got to tell you, you would have seen there a photo in the earlier slide of me dressed as a jester. That was the masquerade ball in Phantom, where I had to dance, sing, and do some very, very complex moves on stage with the entire cast, all of us on stage. That took about 5 weeks of rehearsal before I had the dance. I had to play the bells and sing and do all of the movement at the same time. 5 weeks of solid rehearsal. Hand on heart, I can tell you that some 20-something years later, the masquerade music comes on from Phantom, and I can recall every step, every bell ring, and I can sing it as if it were yesterday. So it's amazing the power of dance, of music, of song, and how that stays with you forever, and you can recall it, which is pretty scary considering the amount of time that's lapsed. But look, I guess, and many of you will know this, for me, dancing and singing are really very expressive forms of communication. And they have a wide range of benefits, and there's lots of research around it, which I'm not going to go into today. But for me, the I guess the three critical things that I always found really, I guess, benefited me and were impactful. Well, one, it definitely improved my memory. So, you know, having to learn the music, lyrics and movement and dance movements for a 3-hour show or a 3-hour opera or whatever it was, really, I guess, gets your brain working, gets you really focused, and it is a fantastic way to really develop that cognitive ability. There's no question that when I'm on stage performing, my mood is, you know, transformed. I mean, I am at my happiest when I am on a stage performing, even though unfortunately these days I don't do it as often as I used to, because I don't do it professionally anymore. So therefore it's few and far between. But mood is definitely something that is really, that I found really beneficial. And of course, physical fitness, you know, definitely looking at your overall physical fitness, of course, things like balance, you know, all of these things that I'm sure that you're all aware of. But for me, they are, I guess, the three critical things that made a difference to me when I was performing professionally. And of course, the wonderful people that you meet and the social interactions that you develop. So as I said at the start, I am really, really pleased that Parkinson's Queensland and Dance for Parkinson's has got a very collaborative partnership. And those of you that that are linked to us in some way, shape or form will know that you know, we do promote all of the work that Dance for Parkinson's does. Erica Rose has been kind enough to do a couple of webinars for us, and we'll continue to do that and continue to promote that because it is really, really important to everybody. I just wanted to very quickly share with you, for those of you that are in Queensland, but also those of you that are around Australia as well, a little bit about what we do as an organisation, but then also just to let you know, if you are outside of Queensland, that you do have local organisations at a state level. So as I said at the start, we're really focused on improving people's well-being. But that's everybody that's impacted by Parkinson's. So not just the person living with the condition, but family members, you know, workmates. It could be anyone who interacts with the person living with Parkinson's. And that's really important because, as many of you will know who are living with Parkinson's, you really do need a network of people around you supporting you. So part of our role is to make sure that everyone is informed and we educate everybody as to how to interact with those people living with Parkinson's, how to support them, how to help them. So that's one of the things that we do. But because we're focused on the well-being of people living with Parkinson's, we're focusing on activities that can make a difference now. And that's why, you know, dancing is so important, because it makes a difference right now. And you can see an improvement over a period of time. So that's really important. And, you know, as it says in that slide, it's obviously something that can make a positive difference to people's lives. Now, Parkinson's Queensland is part of the Parkinson's Australia Federation. And I've got the privilege at the moment of chairing the executive group of Parkinson's Australia, which is for member states. So wherever you are in Australia, there is a Parkinson's organisation that is there to support you. We all provide slightly different services depending on, obviously, on funding at a state level, but we're all there to support you. Parkinson's Queensland, the kind of programs that we currently run, we run a telephone peer support program, so people can have one-on-one confidential phone calls with a trained mentor, and talk about some challenging things that they may be experiencing, or, you know, just I guess sometimes downloading or looking at just having that conversation with someone who understands the journey that you might be on. We're currently also running a Dbs Buddy Program. For those of you that don't know, Dbs stands for Deep Brain Stimulation, and it's a specific treatment for Parkinson's, where electrodes are used to stimulate specific parts of the brain. We're on a buddy program where we connect people who've had the surgery with those who have been recommended the surgery, so that you can get a first, I guess, hand view of the experience of the person that's already undergone that surgery. We've got a network of 32 affiliated support groups across the state. We run monthly webinars, and Erica Rose, as I said, has been kind enough to present at those. We have a bi-monthly newsletter, and we have a lot of resources. So, you know, I guess I always say to people, Google's a wonderful tool, but be careful what you search for, because you can be overloaded with things. So we have very specific information, resources, booklets and videos to help you along that journey, rather than go onto Google and look at everything at once and be absolutely overwhelmed with information and with what Parkinson's is all about. And of course, what we do know is that Parkinson's is different in each individual. So, you know, you should never go and look at everything, because, you know, you may not experience all of the things that you're reading about. So if in doubt, reach out to us, and we can give you the right resource at the right time. One of the other things that that we do a lot of is we do promote research programs that are conducted by quite a number of institutions around Queensland. We're very fortunate in Queensland, as we are in Australia, that we've got some amazing institutions doing some really, really amazing work, not only researching a potential cure for Parkinson's, but specifically also looking at causes, and also looking at activities that can improve quality of life and can make a difference. So we really go out of our way to promote those, and also to encourage people to take part in those studies, because it's only through participation that the researchers are able to get the data that they need to go to the next level. So, so again, any of you, or those of you that are watching this from Queensland, if you want any information on any of those programs, please reach out to us. We're here to support you. So I can't emphasize that enough. As I said, each state has a Parkinson's organisation that you can contact depending on where you are in Australia. There is one national number, which I'll put up on the screen now. So that 1-800 number that you can see on the screen at the moment, that is a national number. So wherever you are in Australia, if you dial that number, it will direct you to the particular organisation of the state that you are in. So you only need to remember one number, and whether you're in Victoria, whether you're in the Northern Territory, or whether you're in Queensland, when you dial that number, it automatically directs you to your state organisation. So you're only a phone call away from support wherever you are in Australia. Of course, if you want to contact us directly, you can email us. And you can also visit our website and download information, videos, watch previous webinars, etc., etc. So we are here to support all of you, regardless of what your Parkinson's journey looks like. I am determined that, you know, we will continue to grow and improve the services that we offer, and we've got a few really exciting initiatives for next year, which are really focused on creating a centre of excellence for wellbeing for people with Parkinson's. So we're working to do just that next year. But of course, you know, as Erica knows, we are all resource constrained. So we do as much as we can with what we have, and try and build from there. So Erica Rose, I can talk all morning. I don't know whether you wanted to ask me any questions, or you wanted to go on a particular journey. I'm trying to be as succinct as I can, because I know I can just get carried away with it a little bit.
Thank you, Miguel, and thank you for sharing all of those resources, including the fantastic pictures and costumes of some of your performing career. That was a real treat. So thank you for sharing those. Yeah, I might have a few questions, if that's okay. We'll go through a couple of questions. So one of the things is, I was wondering if you might share a little bit more about the drawing program that's coming up, and looking at that, those opportunities for creative engagement.
And thank you for reminding me, because I realised that I didn't include that on the slide deck. Yes, look, we are incredibly fortunate to have an amazing facilitator in Kirsty Mitchell, who has a new program to Australia. It's not new internationally, but it's a new program to Australia called Neurographica, and it's a way of capturing, I guess, our feelings at a particular point in time through drawing. The fantastic thing about it is that you don't have to be an artist to take part, because it's not about, drawing a landscape or drawing, a portrait. It's really using, I guess, to simplify it, it's using circles and colour to express yourself. Now, obviously, Kirsty is trained in this. She also has a background in psychology and career development and working with students. And she's also doing sort of art as therapy as well. So she's got a pretty strong background in this. She will explain it a lot better than I can. But what we're doing, or what we've rolled out, is a program specifically at the moment for carers, because we are really aware that those people that are supporting someone with Parkinson's don't often get the support they need to deal with things on a daily basis. So the program initially is for carers, for those of you who may be family members who are caring for someone with Parkinson's. I run over 8 sessions, and Kirsty guides you through the actual technique and the way to actually express yourself on paper. I've got to say that we did it here as a team in the office, and everyone was just absolutely drawn to it, no pun intended, but really invested in it, and are still talking about it. So we're actually talking about doing a whole of team pictures. So if anybody is interested in the program, please get in touch with us. We've still got lots of places left. It's all done online, so it's really, really easy, and all you need really is paper and some pencils, and off you go. So it's a really, really positive program, and one we will eventually as well roll out to people with Parkinson's as well.
Thank you. That sounds like a really interesting initiative. And when we're thinking about this idea of creative well-being, that I really conceptualize it as an ecosystem, so that having a focused program for the carers is a really wonderful acknowledgement of the role that they play within that ecosystem.
Yeah, look, absolutely. We know, and as I think we all know, many people have come to that role unexpectedly, because life's taken a different turn, and they've had to adapt to it and do the best they can, and they do an amazing job. So we want to make sure that we're supporting all of those people, and giving them, also a little bit of respite from the day-to-day as well through art.
Thank you. There is a question in the chat from Katrina Rank, and she is asking if you might share a little bit more about the Center of Excellence. Could you perhaps provide some more information about that?
Sure. And Katrina, I can provide a little bit because we've got a long way to go. But look, as I said at the start, our focus now is on how do we improve the well-being of people living with Parkinson's. One of the things we do know is that early intervention can make a big difference, and a lot of those things are based around exercise, activities like dancing, things like diet, exercise, speech. All of those things are really, really important. So one of the key streams in our strategic plan is to develop a wellbeing hub, which will incorporate a number of these services in one central location that people with Parkinson's will be able to access both physically and remotely via telehealth. So it's in the early stages of development, but that is definitely something that we want to move towards, and we are developing. And it's not easy to pull together something like that, but it is definitely something that we're working on. So over the next 6 months, I hope to be able to share more information as it starts to come together. But so far, we've had a lot of interest. A lot of people are really supportive of what we want to do and can see the real benefit of it. So stay tuned. I can't give you all of the details right now because we've got a draft business plan, which we are continuing to develop, and we're having preliminary conversations with potential partners. But it's really exciting, and it's one of the things that I definitely want us to get off the ground.
Thank you. One of the things I really appreciate is the relationships that you are building and have built and continue to build, and the innovative programs that you're able to provide. I was wondering if you might talk a little bit about the telephone peer support program. I think that's a really interesting initiative that came out of some of the different challenges that we've all experienced over the last year and a half.
Yes, look, absolutely. And look, and Erica Rose, my philosophy is fairly simple. We're here to make a difference, and the team here knows that, and that's why we come in every day. Look, the telephone peer support program was a fantastic initiative at a really difficult time. Obviously, I've been in this role about 20 months, and I joined about 3 weeks before the pandemic was declared. So my timing was impeccable. At that time, when we went into that initial sort of lockdown, and we were all obviously really concerned and even frightened for what was coming. We did a really simple thing, and that was we started to just call people who were on our database and just seeing how they were, and also asking them some questions about how they accessed information, because we very quickly realized that we may have to move to virtual platforms to do things. What became really evident through those phone calls was that a large chunk of the people that we were speaking to didn't have access to the internet or didn't even have a computer. And it was somewhere around 20 to 25% of the people that we called. So I went away one weekend, got very creative and thought, well, everyone's got a telephone. Let's build something that we can use on the phone. And, we got together as a team, and within a matter of a couple of weeks, the telephone peer support program framework was built, and I was fortunate to approach the then Minister for Communities, Coralie O'Rourke, who saw the benefit and agreed to fund the development and the implementation for the first 12 months. And so we were able to get this program up and running in 4 months, I think it was, from inception to rollout, including developing a training program for our mentors in partnership with TAFE Queensland. So we did it in really quick time and put the mentors through the training. The interesting thing is that our mentors are all members of the Parkinson's community themselves. So they're either someone living with Parkinson's, caring for someone with Parkinson's, or an allied health professional. So they have first-hand experience of the Parkinson's journey. So I have to stress, it's not counselling, it's peer support. But you are talking to someone who understands what you're going through and understands your journey and can share some of their experiences with you. But look, for all of the negatives about COVID, one of the positives was that we were able to put the program together, roll it out, and the feedback thus far has been absolutely fantastic in the difference that people tell us that it's made to their lives. So I'm really proud of the team for what we achieved in a short space of time.
Thank you. And that peer support is such an important resource as well to both make that available, and also to be able to share those different experiences from the community.
Yeah, look, and many of the people watching will know that sometimes it's actually really difficult to talk about some things, even with your own family. And sometimes you just want to have another ear, someone who is, that little bit sort of detached, but understands where you're coming from and what you're going through. And that's what this is designed to provide.
I might ask a question if we might be able to go back to some of your performance career.
Sure.
And just ask, because it's such a nice opportunity for us to have a conversation and get to know a little bit more about you. So I know you have a really wonderful voice, and I love to sing, but I am not a very good singer. And I was wondering if you had any suggestions for those of us in the community who perhaps want to sing more, and any strategies that you might share from your professional experience.
Wow, that's a question we could really get into. Look, I started formally training my voice when I was 15. I had some lessons when I was younger, but when I was 15, I started to formally train my voice. And even when I was singing professionally and doing, even Phantom, which was 8 shows a week, I was still going to see my vocal coach and my singing teacher. So there's a lot of work required. And look, I guess, people say to me, "Oh, look, I can't sing." It's all relative, and it's all, for me, singing is an expression, and it doesn't matter whether you don't need a fantastic voice to sing. You're expressing yourself. You're also working on your breathing using your diaphragm, of course, which is really, really, really important. So, look, my advice is, if you enjoy singing, do it. The reason it sounds better in the shower is because it's a bit of an echo chamber. So that's always a good place to start, because you will always sound good in the shower. Unfortunately for me, I'm still very loud in the shower, so I constantly get complaints, and my daughter's yelling, "Dad, you're too loud." But look, enjoy it. I guess if you want to, if it is something that interests you, then I would strongly recommend that you go and have some lessons. Learn how to use your diaphragm correctly. Learn how to breathe. Breathing, supporting the breath to be able to support a note is really, really important. So even if you have those basics, it will help you, and it will help you not just with singing, but with anything in general, because once you know how to breathe and you can control your breathing, it's amazing what it does for your well-being and your stamina and a whole range of things. So for those of you that are really keen, go and get some lessons, learn how to breathe, learn how to place your voice. It does, and I'm not going to lie, if you want to do it professionally, it takes a lot of work, a lot of hard work. Like dancing, I liken it. I think anyone in the performing arts who is at the top of their game is a bit like an athlete, whether you're a dancer or a singer. If you're performing on a stage, you've got to be fit, you've got to be on top of your game. But look, just enjoy it. Sing your favorite song, sing out loud. Don't worry about what anyone thinks or says. If you want to sing in the car, I mean, I routinely break out in the car and have people beside me in the car beside me look at me. I don't care. Just have fun with it. And don't even think about what your voice is sounding like, because that's the other thing. Never listen to yourself sing, because what you hear isn't what everyone else hears. You have to feel your voice. It took me a long time to understand that. But when you feel your body, you know when you get it right. You know when you're breathing correctly, supporting the breath. Certainly for me on stage, when you're on a stage, you really can't hear yourself. You've got a 70-piece symphony orchestra in the pit. You've got an audience say in the Sydney Opera House. You've got an auditorium full. You really can't be listening to yourself. You've got to feel your voice, feel the resonance, feel the breath. So just go with the flow, enjoy it. And if you're having fun and it makes you laugh, then you're doing it well. And don't worry about what anyone else says.
Thank you. And one of the things that is great is that we also, throughout the next 2 days, will have some people presenting from the community's perspective around singing. So Dr. Melissa Forbes will join us to talk about singing and some of the research, and Linda McIntyre, who's the director of the New Voice Choir and also now a PhD candidate. So some other perspectives on both the research around singing, but also ways to get involved.
Yeah, look, Linda is an amazing individual. I've attended her choir. She even convinced me to sing while I was there. That the choir is doing some amazing work, and look, and there are choirs all over the country that do fantastic work. So I would encourage everyone to get along. If you enjoy singing, get along, have a sing. It's a lot of fun.
I have just 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
So I was wondering if you might share maybe one of your favorite performance experiences.
Oh, look, obviously Phantom of the Opera would have to be up there as probably my favorite musical. And I was fortunate to perform with the likes of Rob Guest and Marina Pryor and Peter Cousins, and they were amazing performers. So, I mean, that would be the one show that would get me out of retirement, Erica Rose. If the producers came back and said, "Hey, would you come back?" and I would absolutely jump at that chance. I love the show. But look, there are some amazing operas, and I've been fortunate enough to sing again with some amazing people. But probably my favorite opera is probably Il Trovatore, Verdi's Il Trovatore. So that would be probably one of my favorites. I got to perform a principal role in that, and it was a lot of fun. But I love the music. But look, I love any kind of music, and people say to me, "What sort of music do you like?" And I listen to everything from AC/DC through to Mozart and Wagner and all things in between. So I think music is good for the soul. So I don't care what it is, I love it. But yeah, look, they're probably my two standouts, I guess.
Good. Covering a bit of range there as well.
A little bit, yes.
And just my final question, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us today, would be where do you, in working with the Parkinson's community and also in your own professional life, where do you find inspiration at the moment?
Oh, look, for me, the inspiration comes from the people that I interact with every single day. From the health professionals that are doing an amazing job on the front line, treating people with Parkinson's every day, to people like yourself, Erica Rose, who are doing an amazing job inspiring people through dance. But I guess for me, probably the most inspiration that I get is from the Parkinson's community themselves. Hearing everyone's stories, understanding their journey, listening to the way that, Parkinson's, I guess people living with Parkinson's just get on with things and just accept that, this is the way it is and we just have to get on with things. And, some of the stories that I hear are truly inspirational, and it drives me and the team at Parkinson's Queensland to try and do more every day. So, it's one of the things I love to do. I love going to our support group meetings. I love meeting and talking to people from the Parkinson's community, just to understand what life is like for them and how we might be able to help them. So there's no shortage of inspiration on a daily basis, and I'm really privileged to do what I do.
Thank you. Yes, I think this kind of work is very relational, and I too am inspired by the community and the people that I'm able to come in contact with and learn from as well. Well, this has been a really wonderful session, both informative in terms of research and the work of PQI, as well as getting to know a little bit more about you, Miguel. So we really appreciate the time that you have taken this morning and your support of this mini festival. We will share the resources in terms of how to get in touch with Parkinson's Queensland and the other information that you shared. We will put it in the resource link so it can be available for folks to find and to peruse at their leisure. Miguel, any final words before we close this session?
Just to say a huge thank you to you, Erica Rose, and to the whole Dance for Parkinson's team and the Arts Front team for putting on the festival. I think it's a fantastic initiative and really, really pleased to be able to come and share a little snippet of Parkinson's Queensland and what you do. And I hope everyone really has a fantastic rest of the festival. I'll be logging in to a few of the sessions throughout the next couple of days as well myself as a participant. So really looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you again, Miguel. And we're going to continue the musical theme in our next session, which is a morning music salon. And I'm going to invite one of the wonderful teaching artists based in the Sydney area, Kirsty Arnold, to introduce the next session. Thank you, Kirsty.
Thank you, Erica Rose. That was a lovely lead-in from Miguel describing his love of music. Welcome to you all to our morning music salon. I'm very excited to hear our musician play for us live, even though it's on screen. Before I do that, let me acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that I am on, which are the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. And please enjoy the music now. Our musician is Dr. Rob Manley. He has many strings to his bow, if you will excuse that terrible joke, because when I looked him up, he is a cellist and a pianist and a recorder player, and he's at the University of Queensland, as well as playing with many orchestras around this part of the world and further afield. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Rob Manley, to our screens, and thank you.
Hi there, thanks very much for the welcome, and it's an honour to be involved with the festival after an association of around about 6 years so far with Dance for Parkinson's and moving forward. Look, I've just prepared a little quaint selection of music for you today, somewhat emerging from some recent class themes. So the concert theme is going to be the seasons from spring into summer, but not by Vivaldi. So it'll draw upon some evocative music from different parts of the world, Europe, Germany, France and Spain, as well as Australia. So, without further ado, let's get the program underway. The first piece is called Spring Song, which harks from 19th century Germany and the Songs Without Words of Felix Mendelssohn. The piano became increasingly popular in the early 1800s as a sort of drawing room institution, if you like, often found in middle-class households. So you can just imagine a sort of young, optimistic man decked out in lederhosen for the day, sunny, beautiful weather outside, and performing this little song. Just excuse me as I need to change the mics every so often. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. Next up, onto the eccentric Frenchman, Eric Sarty, who many of you have met before in classes and in the salons in the past. He belonged to what could be called the Parisian avant-garde of the late 19th, early 20th century. The life of this musical genius is sort of characterized by many of his odd acts that he was well known for. For example, he managed to get kicked out of the Paris Conservatoire for laziness, and then during military service, as a result, purposefully caught bronchitis to get out of his duties. And I can only just imagine during COVID what kind of racket he would have created. In his apartment, he apparently had 2 grand pianos, but they were stacked one on top of the other. So this was highly convenient because he used the top one for storing parcels. It was a great idea, yeah. So his musical compositions bear insightful names such as The Dreamy Fish and 3 pear-shaped pieces, when in fact the reader soon discovers there are 6 or 7. And he accompanies his composition scores with all kinds of interesting evocative remarks, though he warns, "To whom it may concern, I forbid anyone to read the text aloud during the musical performance. Ignorance of my instructions will incur my righteous indignation against the presumptuous culprit. No exceptions will be allowed." These little miniatures come from his sports pieces, or little musical vignettes, which are accompanied by these directions throughout the score. I'll share the directions with you according to his advice prior to the performance. So the little storyline of this first one, depicting a lovely springtime activity, fishing, reads as this: murmurs of water in a stream bed, arrival of a fish, of another, of 2 others. What's up? It's a fisherman, a poor fisherman. Ah, thanks. Everyone goes back home, even the fisherman. Murmurs of water in a stream bed. And you hear these lovely undulating harmonies. It's very sort of impressionist in styles. It's like you need to kind of take a step back from the picture a little bit to kind of fully appreciate what the music's saying, if you will. They are very quaint. Now, moving into summer, we take a hop and a skip across the globe to luscious Gippsland farmlands after some decent showers of rain. Miriam Hyde was a virtuoso pianist, one of Australia's leading teachers of music in the 20th century, and a composer of a substantial body of work, notably for the piano. Her piece, The Silent Meadow, is from an old collection of piano miniatures that are now out of print. The piece is accompanied by a short poem that evokes the peacefulness and abundance of an Australian meadow in summer. Perhaps a little optimistic, but this is how the little poem goes. There is a meadow at the forest edge, golden with wheat, a quiet retreat, where berries ripen on the hawthorn hedge in summer's heat. So a very sort of European influence and very much the written in the late Romantic style, influenced by the late Romantic style. Those little chromatic ascents near the end there, you almost have the impression of just wiping the sweat off your brow in the summer heat. Okay, back to our favourite, Eric Sarty. I can't get enough of these pieces. Wonderfully short and quaint. So this one is Yachting in a Summer Storm. The musical directions, here we go. I think rather novel. Okay. What weather! The wind is blowing like a sea lion. The yacht is dancing. It acts like a giddy little thing. The sea is raging. I hope it doesn't break on a rock. No one can calm it down. I don't want to stay here, says the pretty lady passenger. It's not an entertaining place. I prefer doing something else. Go get me a car. And there it ends. This is how Sarty musically depicts that story. You can see that lovely open fourth sound at the end there. It doesn't really feel finished. It's like there's more to the story that hasn't yet been told, but we've only been giving this tiny little snippet to take away. Okay, so now we're going to move to Spain and the classic habanera style. La Paloma, or the Dove in English, has achieved a folk song status around the world. It was actually composed by a Spanish Basque composer by the name of Sebastián Heredia around 1860 after a visit to Cuba. The composer was to die in obscurity a few years later and never actually get to any sense of how popular his piece was to become or what it would mean to so many people around the world. The motive of this piece, the Dove, can be traced back to an interesting episode that occurred in 492 BC. Before Darius the Great's invasion of Greece, a time when the white dove had not yet ever been sighted in Europe. The Persian fleet under Mardonius was caught in a summer storm off the shore of Mount Athos, and they were wrecked there. And the Greeks observed that white doves were escaping from the sinking Persian ships. These were most probably homing pigeons, which the Persian fleet carried with them when sallying forth out of Persia for battle. This inspired the notion, this became a sort of enduring notion, that such birds could bring home a final message of love from a sailor who is lost at sea. So hence is kind of the pictorial background to this little, I'm sure you'll recognise it, well-known song. some of you who may recall this one from the classes will note that, interestingly, it has this slightly uneven phrase structure in the music. So each phrase has actually kind of 5 periods that move forward. So it would be quite challenging to dance to unless you were familiar with the style and knew the steps. So you'll notice that in classes I adapt this slightly in keeping with the more standard periods of 4 and hence 8. As you often hear, we're counting in 8. Yeah. So look, I think one final piece, we can sort of slip into a bit of jazz. Let me see. Yes, we can use some jazz to bring us into the coming season of tropical breezes. We have a wonderful classic piece here by the very famous jazz composer Thomas Fats Waller. He was really a leading light of the jazz era, and his innovations, particularly in what's called the Harlem stride type of playing, which is a sort of, the left hand does a lot of this kind of thing, and it was a bit of an adaptation of ragtime. He made a lot of sort of movements forward in that style, and really in a lot of ways laid the groundwork for modern jazz piano, the styles that we've become accustomed to recalling in connection with jazz. So this is just a signature piece of his, not Ain't Misbehavin', which you often see coming up in the class schedules from me, but this is one slightly lesser known but was very famous at the time, and it's called Palm Garden. There you go, the tropical palms, you see. So you can really sort of, get a sense of that style where you had the oompa in the bass, but a little slowed down from your sort of classic ragtime type of dance, which I might actually give you a brief example of now, just as a comparison. But you can get that sense of the oompa, what you just saw in the bass, and yet you have that swung dotted rhythm that goes along with it, yun da dun da dun da da. And this was kind of one of the major changes that seems to be associated with that Harlem stride style. So yes, why don't I give you a bit of an example of what this sort of emerged from, which is, I know, one of Erica Rose's favourites. It's in here somewhere. Another enduring classic. Just saw it. Page 16. You probably don't really need me to tell you the composer or the title of this one, but I will anyhow. It's the Maple Leaf Rag of Scott Joplin. Thank you very much. Just a little taster to sort of show the difference between those little styles there, and top off the springtime to summer themed little segment. So I very much enjoyed the opportunity to present this to you, and hopefully we'll do it again before too long, or I'll see you in a class.
That was so enjoyable, Rob. What a treat to hear you play live and to hear a little bit about the background of the music and learn a bit more about that. It's been a really enjoyable half hour or so with you, and thank you very much for joining us today. I will now pass over to Erica Rose, and thanks again.
Big thanks to Kirsty and to Rob. Of course, the Maple Leaf Rag, we're going to have a wonderful day with a little bit of jazz in our spring in our step. So thanks, Rob.
Just a little extra one that snuck in the end there.
It's great. Thank you. And just want to really appreciate your knowledge around music, your professional experience, but also, as Kirsty mentioned, learning a little bit more around each piece and the composer just brings it to life even more.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Erica Rose.
Thanks. So I'm just going to provide a little transition, which is to let everybody know that our next session will be a class featuring 3 teachers from different parts of Australia. And it's a little bit of an Aussie springtime road trip. So we invite you to join in and participate. That will be in the live stream, or excuse me, you need to click the Zoom link in the program, and then you can join us all in that meeting together. It's a great time to get some water, to adjust your space so that you have enough room to move safely, which is what I'm going to do right now myself. So we will see you shortly. The live stream will start again at 12:05 Brisbane time. And so we look forward to seeing you either in the Zoom class or online through the live stream. Thank you very much.